Ephraim Cole was herding his cattle back to the barn when he heard something break in the wind. A rough hoarse sound, half moan and half cry. Like someone trying to call out to God, but with no breath left, he dismounted, walking through the cactus brush. And then he saw her, a native woman, hanging upside down between two wooden stakes, blood dripping onto the sand. The word thief had been carved into her chest with sap, smearing under the blood-red sunset. Ephraim stood frozen, hands trembling slightly, the sight. It was just like the day he lost his sister. He climbed up and cut the rope. Her body fell into his arms, heavy and limp, her blood mixing with the hot, dusty earth. As he laid her down and wiped the blood from her face, she opened her eyes, that deep, fierce gaze, terrified, but still alive. She whispered, "The sheriff's 2 sons." Then she slipped away, her faint breathing melting into the wind. Ephraim bowed his head, his old eyes blurred with tears. He knew tonight God would not sleep, and this land was about to witness something righteous, even if it had to be paid for in blood. Ephraim sat by the fire, listening to the faint breathing of the girl on the bed. The firelight flickered across her sun-browned skin, wrists marked by rope burns, and eyelids twitching as if still trapped in an unfinished nightmare. As the first light of dawn slipped through the cracks in the door, she opened her eyes. Her voice was rough, but every word cut through the air like a blade. "The 2 sons of Sheriff Dalton, they dragged me off the wagon, said I stole silver. Then they beat me, tied me up." She choked, gasping for breath. "Then they did vile things to humiliate me. When they finished, they laughed, hung me upside down between 2 stakes in the field, left me there to die, so the crows could get to me before God ever did." Ephraim said nothing. He just stood there, his old eyes dimmed by the ash of memory. He knew that silence, the silence of someone who had seen the worst, and still had to go on living. She continued, her voice soft as wind slipping through the cracks in the wood. "People passed by, but no one stopped. Out here, they fear power more than they fear sin." Ephraim heard an old rusted sound deep inside him, the final breath of his sister back in 1873, who had been hanged just the same. He had once sworn never to get involved again, but oaths out west never last longer than the wind. Ephraim cleaned her wounds, wrapping them with an old shirt. She looked at him, her eyes wet, but still burning. "I am Mina Sunday. I will not die until justice knows my name." He gave a tired smile. "Your name will be known, and so will their crimes." Outside, the sun rose, casting its first rays across a field stained with dried blood. A crow landed on the dead tree near the door, calling a low, ragged warning. Ephraim stepped onto the porch, hand gripping the hilt of the knife at his hip. He was no longer a cattleman. He was a bearer of fire. Out west, when a good man is forced to pick up a gun, it means heaven has shut its gates. And hell is about to open. The midday sun over Red Mesa burned white like forged steel, sweeping across rotting porches, and the souls still trying to survive beneath them. Ephraim was stacking hay near the horse barn when he heard the pounding of hooves on the dirt road. 5 riders. Dust rose behind them like gunpowder smoke. They wore black leather coats, pistols strapped to their shoulders, faces hidden beneath wide-brimmed hats. The leader, broad-shouldered, thick-bearded, spoke in a raspy voice. "Mr. Cole, word is you are hiding a runaway dark-skinned savage." Ephraim looked up, squinting. In the harsh sunlight, he saw the carved star on the lead rider's saddle, the eldest son of Sheriff Dalton. He spat a wad of tobacco onto the dirt. "There is only cattle and silence on this ranch. Neither of them belong to you." The man gave a dry laugh and stepped off his horse. "Watch your mouth, old man. My father says anyone who harbors a fugitive will be shot on sight." She stole silver from the saloon and disgraced the town's honor. Ephraim did not move from inside the cabin. Mina watched through the slit in the curtain, her body still wrapped in a blanket, her eyes burning like black fire. Ephraim spoke slowly, each word dropping heavy as stone. "If the town's honor is built on the blood of a woman strung up, then it is not worth a single damn penny." The air froze. 5 hands moved to their holsters almost in unison. Ephraim stayed still, unarmed. His gaze was calm and deep, like someone who had already walked the edge between life and death. Go ahead, he said quietly. But remember, out here, spilled blood carries a stubborn smell. It clings to your name. A younger rider, still fresh-faced, hesitated. He looked at the old man and saw no fear in his eyes, only the tired resolve of someone who had lost everything but what was right. The leader clenched his jaw and spat into the dirt. We will be back, and when we are, you and that savage girl will hang from 2 stakes. They turned their horses. Iron hooves slammed the dirt road, kicking up dust that soon vanished into the sunburnt sky. Ephraim watched them go, his hand trembling slightly, then slowly forming a fist. Behind him, Mina stood at the door. Her voice was low. You should not have provoked them. I did not provoke, he said, eyes lost in the distance. I just told the truth. The sky began to darken. Distant thunder grumbling across the plains. A storm was coming, and it was not just weather. Night fell. The storm outside had begun to pour. Wind lashed the wooden walls like a whip, and inside the cabin. Only a flickering oil lamp lit the rough wooden table. Mina sat with her back against the wall, still wrapped in the old blanket. The firelight danced across her sunburned skin, now glowing with a warm copper hue. The wound on her shoulder had closed, but her eyes remained wide open. Not from fear, but from vigilance. Ephraim poured cold coffee into 2 cups, setting one in front of her. What do you plan to do when you recover? She looked at him, her voice low and steady. I am going to take back my name and make sure this land remembers it, she told him. In the county courthouse archives, there was a land ledger or a book that recorded everything Sheriff Dalton and his sons had done. Forged documents, stolen property, native homes seized and resold to settlers. That book could bury them if someone dared to bring it into the light. Ephraim lit a cigarette. Smoke traced silver lines in the lamp's glow. Sounds like you are planning a war. No, I want the truth. She lifted her gaze, eyes as black and deep as burning coal. Truth can be if no one delivers it. Ephraim understood. They spent the night drawing out their plan. At dawn, Mina would sneak into the county records office behind the church where the land book was kept. Ephraim would wait outside posing as a delivery man. They would use carbon paper to copy the pages, then take the copies to the telegraph office at the far end of Main Street, sending them straight to Denver to the federal office. If the telegram was sent before Dalton found out, they might live. If not, blood would soak this land once more. Rain kept falling, each drop heavy like a heartbeat. Ephraim opened the cupboard and took out his old Colt. He cleaned it carefully. Mina looked at him and asked softly, "Do you think God will forgive us?" Ephraim gave a bitter smile. "I think God left the West a long time ago. It is just us now." She nodded gently, her fingers tightening around the ink pen. Wind howled through the window, making the blank page on the table tremble beneath the oil lamp's glow. "Sometimes," Ephraim said quietly, "justice does not need a gun. It just needs someone brave enough to write what no one wants to read. Thank you for being here." If this story brought back old memories for you, red dusty afternoons, the sound of hooves echoing in your chest, consider subscribing to my channel so each day we can sit together once more and I will tell you another tale from the West. Rain fell over the town of Red Mesa like the sky had unleashed all its fury. The main street turned to mud and lantern lights rippled across the water like broken memories. In the middle of that night, 2 figures moved quietly through the cemetery behind the church, one old, one young. Ephraim Cole wore a long leather coat cradling a bundle disguised as a delivery. Mina walked beside him barefoot to make no sound. Each drop of rain lashed their faces like a warning. There was still time to turn back. If only their conscience had not already chosen. The county records building sat between 2 rows of storefronts, iron doors, stone walls, and one broken window in the back. That was their way in. Ephraim nodded. Mina climbed up first. In the dark, her body moved like it was made of wind. She slipped through the window and landed on the floor with a soft thud. In her hands, only a small knife and a blank sheet of paper. Ephraim stayed outside, eyes watching, hand resting on the old colt beneath his coat. He could hear everything, the rain, the thunder, and the pounding of his own heart. Inside, Mina moved through damp wooden shelves, her fingers brushing across thick ledgers. Then she found it Land Register 1879 to 1887. Dalton's red stamp still fresh on the spine. She set the book down, flipping to the page where her family's name had been blotted